What a bunch of drama queens, am I right? Oh my gosh, I had to take a breather at the end of this episode just to deal with all the drama and all the feels. Poor Detective Lance. Oh, poor Detective Lance. He gets put through so much. I thought for a second he was actually having a heart attack in the last scene when we're all talking about Sarah. Whew. Alright, my name is Becky. These are Inglorious Reviews, and tonight we're looking at Arrow 313, Canaries. Alright, so this episode revolved around Laurel, Thea, and the sucky side of Oliver's personality. Some parts of it turned out about the way I thought it would, other parts were the exact opposite of the way I thought they'd turn out. So it was very interesting to watch. Oliver and Laurel are working in the same city again. Laurel's continued to be the canary, and Oliver, as I expected, was completely infantilized and lectured her about the entire time, which drove me nuts. I mean, he always do that. Everyone in Laurel's life is constantly lecturing her about her mistakes and how her life choices were wrong, and just infantilizing her. This grown-ass, pushing 30 woman with a law degree is constantly being lectured by the men in her life who've made much worse decisions than she has, in some points. Even Roy was telling her she was wrong at one point, and it drove me nuts. And this whole thing brought out a character flaw of Oliver's to a head this week. That one that's been with him since the beginning of the show. That Oliver, he believes that his time on the island, all of his trauma, everything he went through with Slade and Ivo and Hong Kong, Russian Broadway, God knows what else, makes him more qualified than anyone else to decide what the people in his lives should be doing and to judge and lecture everyone else, be it Laurel, Thea, Roy, Diggle, Felicity. Really everyone has been at the other end of a Oliver lecture at some point, because he thinks that his time on the island trumps every other experience anyone else has had. For him to look Laurel in the eye and bring up her addiction, and I hated that addiction story. I really hated it. I pretended it didn't exist a lot of the time. For him to actually bring up her addiction, talking about, and, at the same time he was talking to her about Sarah, just really, really crossed the line for me. I didn't like it. And one thing I've always appreciated about Diggle is that no matter what, even back in season 1 when he is still technically his employee, he has no problem putting Oliver in his place. So when he sat down with Oliver and was like, "Look, we thought you were dead. We could not go on living like you were still around and doing everything your way. You have to have more respect for us and our life decisions." I was like, yeah, oh my gosh. And for Oliver, what really drove me nuts about that scene, for Oliver, it really shocked me, the amount of, honestly, arrogance for him to look Diggly in the eye at a veteran who's been to Afghanistan several times, and to say Laurel shouldn't be in the streets because she wasn't a soldier. And John and Diggle was like, "Neither were you." I was like, you're right, he was not. But again, Oliver thinks that his time on the island trumps Diggle's several tours of Afghanistan, and means that he knows better than Diggle whether Laurel is qualified or not, or to be the canary, which drove me nuts. And I was so thrilled when everyone, Roy, Felicity, just everyone, putting him in his place about his assumptions, about about himself, and whether he should be, about whether he is more qualified than everyone else to decide who should and shouldn't be protecting the city. So that was really nice to see that aspect, which is of Oliver's character, which has always driven me nuts, to be confronted and talked back to, or put in its place. So that was really nice. And Laurel went on a bit of a personal journey of discovery tonight, and they have a new Vertigo. Count Vertigo. I have no idea why. Maybe old actor couldn't come back for some reason, or they wanted, you know, someone who could be around more often. I don't know. But they brought in a new. No, I think Count Vertigo died. No, but he was in. It's confusing. I don't know. So there's new character playing the Count Vertigo. New guy playing Count Vertigo. He holds a lab hostage. He drugs Laurel at one point, and she starts seeing Sarah, who's like blaming her. You know, telling her that she's not worthy to be the Canary, and she's not, and like, you know, giving her crap about not telling Lance that she's dead. And it was great to see Katie Lowett's back. Oh, I miss her. She was great. But she, you know, she was going on Laurel for taking her place, and I think part of it might have been a bit of a meta thing, because there are a lot of fans who are not too thrilled about Katie Lowett's or Sarah getting killed off so Laurel could take on the Canary role. And it was really great, and it really did raise a point, like, you know, Laurel is not Sarah. For all the good and bad that those characters had, Laurel is not Sarah, and she should not immediately jump into the place that Sarah held in the team and in the show, as if, you know, as far as characters go. So I thought that was great, you know, something they needed. I think they did need to address to really move on forward with the Canary plotline. But Laurel does go on with the help with Felicity. That was a nice scene. Felicity and Laurel having a little scene together. I've said before that these shows, as great as they are, need more female friendships. So seeing Felicity help Laurel through you know, come to this point where she's like, you know, don't try to be Sarah. Like, Sarah had demons that you, in a light that you don't, that you have, Sarah has demons that you do not have. You have a light in you that you should show. So, you know, don't try to be Sarah, because Sarah had her own issues, and she wasn't always perfect. So that was a really nice scene, and I think it really helps a lot with Laurel's character moving forward, and it was really nice to see Felicity and Laurel, you know, having a little moment when she hugged Felicity. I really hope, if Laurel really does draw into Team Arrow more, I hope those two strike up a friendship, because it would be nice to see Felicity have another girlfriend she could talk to. She kind of struck up that friendship with Sarah, but of course it didn't go very far, because Sarah couldn't stick around very much, and she died. So there was a nice little character arc for Laurel to go through. It was really, the whole episode, the whole thing was really nice. I did not like Laurel too much at the beginning of the season, I admit, but I like the direction she's going now, and I'm excited to see her grow and learn and become even more competent and, you know, get involved with more things now. Because in the season 1, it just felt really patchy, because there were a million different plot lines, you know, going off into their own little places, but now things are being tied up a bit more, and everyone's plot lines are interceding a bit more, and they're interacting more, which is nice to see. Yeah. So that was another great part of the episode. Ended about, you know, how I thought it would. It was great to see, you know, Sarah back, even if it was just for a hallucination. But it was great to see her back on. The Canary plotline is turning out all right with Laurel, but I'm gonna miss Sarah. Oh, maybe they'll do the Lazarus Pit thing. I don't know. That'd be great. And the other big plotline was Thea. Thea learns that Oliver is the Arrow. It was not how I was expecting it to go. I've been predicting all year that Thea would find out that Oliver was the Arrow because Malcolm told her, as like a trump card or something to keep him on the side, and finding out that Oliver was lying to her about all this time would be something that would drive Thea down a darker plotline, not be a good thing, but she was accepting. It was not at all how I expected things to go. It was really, it was actually a really nice moment. Yeah, not as I was expecting, but she was like, you know, okay with it, and she was like thanking. And I wonder if maybe there was a part of her who like had this crazy idea, because she thought in season 1 she suspected for like an episode or two that maybe Oliver was the arrow, so maybe there was always a part of her that suspected that it was somehow still true. But she like hugs Oliver and she's like, thank you for saving the city, and I was like, oh, the feels. But, okay, there's this problem with the show. I mentioned before, I really did not like season 1 because they had Oliver. He was basically a serial killer. He killed, like, you know, a lot of people. Do you remember that scene where Detective Lance took Roy because he was trying to convince him to stay away from the arrow? The hood that they called him back then? He took Roy and Thea to the morgue at the police station and showed him, like, all the bodies he was there. He was like, this guy's got a 26-person body count. Thea was there when he showed that to Roy. She was there. She saw the bodies and heard Detective Lance say he has 26 kills. Of like 1%ers, people that with with Thea's family, she probably knew some of those people. I don't think all of them were 1%ers. Some of them were like guards and minor criminals, but still. Some people she or at least her family might have known. And I don't know, if I were Thea walking down there and seeing that scene that night would have stayed with me. It would have been something I thought about. But this show has a thing where now Oliver's a big hero. In season 2, his whole thing was becoming a hero and becoming someone who doesn't kill and is an honorable, decent person or whatever. And so to do that and to sell that story, the show kind of likes to forget that a lot of season 1 happened. And that was the whole thing here, like where Thea was like selectively forgetting the fact that Oliver had a 26-person, probably even more of a body count to his name. And that wasn't even discussed at all, which I didn't like. But I think they did that mostly because then they had to move into the action with all the Malcolm drama. So they couldn't get into that very much. Maybe they'll talk about that later and have this whole thing where Oliver like has a talk with Thea about all the things he's done. I don't know, and maybe we'll see how that goes. But the big drama happens, the real drama that happens instead of her being angry about Oliver. It's her being angry about Malcolm knowing about Oliver, and like I complained about last week. Malcolm drugged Thea and had her kill Sarah. Like, that's a terrible, terrible thing to do. And no one is telling Thea. Thea gets mad because she realizes that if Malcolm knew that Oliver was the arrow, then he knew that Oliver wasn't there for her all the time because he was saving the city. And instead of telling her that, Malcolm was like, your brother doesn't really care about you. You can only trust me, because she realizes that he was keeping that from her, so she would only rely on Malcolm, which I think is obviously a good reason to be mad. But it's only a small part of the reason Thea should be mad at Malcolm. And no one is telling her the truth. Like, I wonder for a second, when Roy went off on Oliver about not keeping things from Thea, I wondered if for a moment he was going to reveal to her what Malcolm did to her. Because Thea needs to know that. Like, she is not safe if she's around someone. Like, Malcolm manipulates Thea, saying, I am your parent and I love you and that's why you should trust me. Like when he kills that guy, when he goes after that guy Chase, he's like, I don't need gratitude for a parent doesn't need gratitude for saving their child's life. And it's like, you endangered your child's life. You drugged her and had her kill someone. Like, she is actively not safe in the presence of someone who is willing to do that to her. And this isn't a big deal. That just isn't a big deal. No one seems to think it's necessary to mention that. Like Oliver and Roy talk about letting Thea make her own choices, and they're right. But for Thea to make her own choices about her life, she needs all the information. But they are not giving her all the information. Like, she cannot make a good informed choice about Malcolm if she doesn't know about all these awful things that he's done to her, and while claiming to love her and have her best interests at heart, and it's just, grrr, it drives me nuts. Like, maybe that will be the big thing. I thought there would be like this big thing that would like turn her away from Oliver or turn away from Malcolm or make her just want to be like, F everybody, I'm going off on my own. And maybe that will be the thing. Maybe the revelation of what Malcolm did to her made her do, and that everyone is keeping that a secret from her, will be enough to say, like, I'm striking out on my own. I don't know. We'll see, but it just consistently drives me nuts that they're still keeping that secret. Yeah. So, but I'm glad that, Thea is out of Malcolm's influence, and I'm glad that she and Oliver can have a more open relationship now. She and Oliver are going off to me and you. I have no idea why. I feel like it might be just a bit of a hackney, a kind of a contrived way to get them back to Lee and you, so they can have like a special, let's go have Thea and Oliver fight Slade episode. I don't know, or they might be using it to put in the long-awaited, at least by the fans, scene between Malcolm and Slade, because that's like been a big fan wish for Slade and Malcolm to have a scene together. So maybe that'll happen that week. That would be fun. So Oliver and Thea are off to Lee and you. Oh yeah, the blonde DJ boy who turned out to be an informant. I was really annoyed with this guy at first. I thought it was really cool that he turned out to be an informant, and they got rid of him really quickly after finding that out. Yeah, he tried to drug Thea. No, tried to poison her, actually. When he found... when they were together. But Thea was like, my dad taught me how to identify rape drugs or something, which and she doesn't fall for it for a minute, but like the second he was like, I'm gonna go get you a drink, I was like, oh, he's gonna drug her or do something, and she didn't fall for it, which is pretty nice. And then, okay, man, this really confused me. Roy and Malcolm going in and everything, that was nice. Seeing Roy, it's still nice. Roy still has things to do, even though Oliver's back, which is nice. I guess they've decided they want to go back to the Roy and Thea relationship and explore that again. But, okay, so Roy sees her run off with the blonde guy. He doesn't know anything about the blonde guy. He knows he's a DJ, he's a co-manager of the club, so, he knows him, and he's working for him. He has no reason to suspect that he would be, a bad guy. So, I'm so confused, like... Okay, so did he follow him and listen out of jealousy? Follow him and listen to him, like, out of, jealousy or something? But then, did he do that in his red gear? Did he go get Malcolm? Like, did he go get Malcolm and be like, your daughter's about to go off and have sex with someone? Someone, we must suit up and stop this? Because I don't understand, like, how they could have known that he was a bad guy or what he was going to do, or why they went out there, why they suited up and went over there in the first place, and they got in, like, just about the time, like, he had a knife, like, does Malcolm, like, monitor Thea, like, all the time? Which is another thing, like, that would be bad about his relationship with Thea. I was just really confused, like, how they knew and why they got over there and how come they had the time to change and suit up and grab their weapons. It was weird. Maybe there was a deleted scene maybe there's like a deleted scene of like Roy realizing he's a bad guy or Malcolm realizing who he actually is, and then him grabbing Roy or Roy grabbing Malcolm and be like, we gotta get over there because, this guy and the league is over there. I don't know. Maybe there's a deleted scene that explains that. Yeah, but that really shakes up Thea, honestly, more than I thought it did. I think maybe just finding out Malcolm, was keeping things from her, plus the shock of finding out this guy was actually part of the league, both of the shock, like, she was very, explained why she was, like, such a mess in that scene afterwards with Oliver and Malcolm. Yeah, so, but blonde DJ assassin guy is dead. Rest in peace, blonde DJ assassin guy. No more of him, which I'm fine with. I was never too compelled by him. Found him annoying most of the time. So, in Oliver and Thea are off to Lee and you. Roy and Thea are kind of maybe back together, I don't know. Felicity is still pissed off at pissed off at Oliver for messing up with Malcolm. She's like, "Here comes Malcolm," or as I like to call him, your new BFF. And I was like, "Oh, Felicity, you adorable nerd." Yeah, so she's still not too happy with Oliver, and I say good for her. She really does deserve better than the way what she gets from Oliver. Yeah, Diggle is, Diggle, putting Oliver in his place and going home to his wife and kid, which is great. Yeah, and Laurel and Detective Lance. She finally told Detective Lance. It was so sad. I feel like a lot of things happened really suddenly. This is the episode where all of a sudden Thea knows about Oliver, and all of a sudden the blonde guy is released, and all of a sudden it's time for Laurel to tell Detective Lance about Sarah, which makes me kind of think that they're starting to put all the chess pieces in place for the finale, and they're starting to gear up towards that. So they need to get those things that they started, all the things that they've been going on since the beginning. They need to start wrapping a few of them up so they can start the big finale plot lines. So which I guess is going to start next week when they're back with Lee and Yu and Slade and everything. Now that everything's out in the open, things can really get revved up, which things are already really pretty revved up as they are on Arrow. So it'll be very exciting to watch the next few weeks. Oh, the flashbacks. Yeah, and even the flashbacks. They're out of Hong Kong. They're somehow back to Starling City. What's his face? Masao and Tatsu and their kid were gonna leave, and Oliver was gonna leave too. I feel like you would think Masao wouldn't just leave without knowing that Oliver had gotten a few calls. He wouldn't just leave Oliver to go find a payphone and call your mother. He'd have made sure that he would have contacted the Hong Kong press or done something, or more than just leave without Oliver knowing that Oliver was secure. But yeah, Masao gets his kid and his wife out of town, as far as we know, and then he comes back to help Oliver because once he realizes that he's been captured, to pay him back for helping rescue Tatsu. And now in Amanda Waller, it'll be interesting to see how things turn out for Amanda Waller. People who threaten Oliver's family do not wind up well. Slade killed Moira Queen, and he threatened Thea, and now he's in this solitary prison on this miserable island. Where I don't like to think of the logistics about that too hard because it doesn't really make sense, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what karma has in store for all that Amanda Waller does, because no one ever threatens Oliver Queen's little sister and gets away with it, or anyone in Oliver's circle and gets away with it. So the second she threatened to have Laurel fake a drug overdose and kill Thea, I was like, you're gonna die. There's something your ending will be unpleasant. I can already tell. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Amanda Waller. And now Masao and Oliver are headed to Starling City. So yeah, who knows what'll happen with that? That should be very interesting. At that point, I think it's probably been a year and a half, maybe 2 years since Oliver's death in the track. So it'll be interesting to see that would probably drop in on different people and see how they're doing 2 years. 2 years after the fact. Yeah, quite an episode. Yeah, everything is really gearing up for the finale episodes. I'm very, very excited about that. Yeah, it's nice that Thea knows the truth, even though that didn't turn out as I expected. I like Laurel's plotline. I like Oliver getting put in his place about his god complex towards the people in his life. I like Roy still having things to do. Yeah, another great episode. It really is. I make my little jokes and, complain about things every now and again, but really, I'm enjoying the show. I really am. I hope you are as well. I hope you're enjoying these videos. Yeah, so tell me what you think. If you disagree, leave your comments, questions, concerns in the comments, or I can ask on my Tumblr. You know, I'm going to put this video up on my Tumblr too. So, yeah, well, I will see you guys next week on the next episode of Arrow. So, have a good night. Bye.